Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And tonight, today, wherever you are, this is episode 7 of the Late Night Logic Pro lesson. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to go back to basics. Yeah, back to basics. Because sometimes it's good to do that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hello, welcome to the show. My name is Jade, and there's my name. Don't wear it out. Really quick, up and down. I hope you're doing good. This is How to App on iOS, and it is the Late Night Logic lesson number 7. And, we're going to, as I said, go back to basics. And this is a bit of a treat for someone who I said I would do this for, because sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming coming from GarageBand or somewhere else into Logic, and there is so much going on with Logic. I'm still the same. I'm still opening it up and finding new things every day, and it is what it is. Alrighty, hello Brad. Speaking of, hello Bo. I hope you're doing good. Welcome to the show. And as I said, we're just going to cover some basics tonight or today or wherever it is that you are. Nice and simple stuff. I'm going to put out a kind of reminder for tomorrow because, well, tomorrow it is for me. It's 10 p.m. here in Australia. But tomorrow or today, depending where you are, this is happening on the channel, episode 100 of The Opening Hour. And I'm really excited because it is not only episode 100, but I am showcasing tomorrow 5 brand new, never heard before DreadCircus songs for the Future album after this one's finished that I'm currently wrapping up at the moment. Very exciting stuff. So that is happening tomorrow or today, whatever it is. So hopefully you can come and join me for that. I'm super pumped to do that. All right, let's get into it. I have a cup of tea because it's nighttime, don't need coffee, helping me get through the show tonight. I've been desperately finishing up writing these songs for tomorrow, so it's, scary stuff, playing new songs in front of people, but we're going to do it. So let's bounce over here to our iPad. We've got some cool shows coming up this week also. Before we jump in, this is one of them. We're going to be taking a look at musicfi.lol this week, where you can, it's an AI-generated website, and you can take your own vocals and put them in here and turn them into somebody else and then add it back into your project. And the results are spectacular. Yeah, absolutely spectacular. So I can't wait to do this. Look at all these. So you got some really amazing voices in here too. So got all these cool voices. And if we really want to get silly, which we will on the show, we've got all these characters as well. Donald Trump and Homer Simpson and Biden and Peter Griffin and all these. So we're going to have some fun with those this week also. I'm super excited to do that because I've gone into a partnership with musicfi, and I have some discounts for you if you want to sign up to them. Wait for the show this week. Okay, hello, the deal for real. Why was I the first like? I don't know. We need some spooky music for that. Maybe all I've got some pigeons. Just pigeons. That's all I've got. All right, let's stop the pigeon.
Stop the pigeon. Stop the pigeon.
All right, done. Pigeon stopped. Okay, let's open up Logic because that's what we're here for. And we're going to be very simple today. We're going to open up a new project, but what we are focusing on today, is starting a track from scratch and predominantly focusing on audio. Now, a lot of the stuff on the channel I've covered has been around tricks, tips, stuff like that. Some more of the advanced stuff, but I really haven't focused on just basics, yeah? So we're going to open a brand new project, yeah? And this is what you are presented with when you load your project. So you've got your Learn and Explore section here, which you can go through tutorials. You've got featured sound packs. And if you want to open live loops. So we're not messing with live loops today. We're looking at this as if you are a guitarist, a bass player, a real life, and I hate saying like real world instrument. I don't want to put anyone down who uses MIDI or anything, but like a musician, yeah, an old school musician with a bass, guitar, vocals, that kind of stuff. And you want to record in here. Yeah, so these are your 3 sections. You've got split up. You can tell they're split up because you've got see all here for each section. You can open up a new track or a live loop, and you have new project settings. So this is where you want to go immediately. You don't have to do this first, but you can do it beforehand, and you can put in the tempo of the song if you would like to choose that. You have the option to change the time signature. So you can virtually do any time signature you want. You can go in here and put in a 5 if you want. Let's do 5, if not 55. We'll just do a 5, and then what? 5/16. There you go. You can do whatever you want. But we'll go back to 4/4. We'll delete that, put a 4 in, hit enter, and we'll go 4/4. So you can do all that from here. You can choose a key signature. So if you know what your song's in, what key it's in, normally you can start at least with the first note of the song. Yeah, that's normally going to do you okay. So we're just going to leave it at C. You can choose if it's a major or minor, and you can choose the sample rate. So if you don't have a DAW plugged in, which I don't know why you wouldn't if you're recording instruments in, that's what this is about, you will get options depending on the interface that you have connected. I have an Arturia Mini Fuse Bizzo interface connected, right? So it gives me the option here to use 44.1, 48, 82.2, or 96 kilohertz. It gives me that option because of the interface that I have. It depends on what interface you have, but you can go ahead and select that. I'm going to keep it on 44.1. That's your standard, yeah? 48 is often used for high-end film and production and television, but there's nothing stopping you from doing that as well. Just remember, whatever you choose as your sample rate, you are going to, if you import loops in here or other audio files, they are going to have to match that. Thankfully, Logic gives you the option when you import things in to like price match and say, hey, you're trying to import a 44 kilohertz file and this is a 48 kilohertz project. Would you like us to fix that? And Logic will go ahead and do that for you. So I'm going to stick with 44 right now. Hello, JDL. Top of the morning to you. Like you're Irish. What's going on? What is happening? There you go. Hope you're doing good, JDL. All right, so we're going to want to open up our tracks here to create a new track, obviously. So we click on this. The first option that pops up for you is this box here. And you can either choose MIDI, audio, a pattern, or a drummer. As I said, we are focusing on audio today. And you will notice these 3 little dots down here, known as the ellipses or more. Apple call these 3 dots more. So that normally means more, 3 dots. I don't know. Maybe it's a Braille thing. Who knows? But if you click on this, and you can do this with all of these, right? So every one of these tracks has a more section. So it's a good idea before you even open a project to go in here and set these up to a default way that you would like to open this up all the time. And if something, you happen to start a new project and you want something a little bit different, you can go in and change this. But let's go back to audio. And our options are format mono. We can choose mono or stereo. So, of course, there are certain things you can load up as mono. You can load guitars if you want to. But predominantly vocals, you want to keep it mono. Just depending on what you're recording in, yeah? If you had a keyboard plugged in or something, you had like a synth plugged in with sounds, and it's got mono happening, or you've got a guitar that's going double in with 2 outs, you would choose a stereo. Here's where you choose your interface. Now, my interface is the Mini Fuse 2. It gives me 4 inputs. Normally it's 1 and 2 I'm going to choose between. So you've got input 1, input 2. Sweet, because we are using mono. Ascending. Input monitoring. You can turn on input monitoring, and if you don't have it switched on, you can turn it on at a later stage. So that's all good. I recommend you put on input monitoring if you're doing vocals. Good idea. So you can actually, monitor your input. You can decide the audio patch for what's going to open with. And I'll show you an example. So if we start off with a default audio patch. Oh, and the last one is open browser. I've gone in and turned this off for all of these. So if we go back here and look at my MIDI, open browser's off here for me. Open browser should be off for drummer. Yep. Because I don't like the little browser opening. I'll show you what happens when you put it on. Let's turn it on for now. Yeah. And from here, you can actually choose patches or loops. So we'll leave this on and show you what happens. We'll set it to loops. And we've got input monitoring. We've got our default audio patch selected. We hit create. And this is what happens. The browser to the side here opens up. Yeah. So you might not want that all the time. I don't like it opening. I like having a full palette in front of me. So, and let's have a look at what else it's done. If we click down the bottom here, where our chain is let's close this. So you can close this down here, get rid of it. So you can see with the default patch, it's given us automatically a compressor and a channel EQ. Now you might like that. It's a pretty stock standard thing to have on a channel, a guitar or a vocal channel. You can turn these on and off. So by default, the compressor's off. Double click, here's your compressor. You can go through and choose different compressors. It will always be on that, it's vintage VA, I think it starts with. And you've got your channel EQ, which is always blank. Sweet. So there's that option. All right, let's delete this track. We don't need it. Let's show you the other way to open up. We'll go in here. We'll turn off the browser this time. And this time we'll go in and put an empty track. So we've got mono. We're set. Hit create. The browser didn't open. Sweet. We've got a full palette in front of us. And when we open up down here, we've got no effects change. So it's completely open for you to add whatever you like into your effects chain. Sweet. We've got that covered, Brad. And you'll notice here too, looking at when I open up our mixer down here, this is our mixer. And we look, there's no effects in here. We've got no effects on our stereo out. There's nothing. It's all just empty, ready for you to paint whatever you like. Let's jump out and delete this again and try another option, because down here we have an empty amp patch. So we'll try that, see what we get with this. And you'll see it puts a little guitar amp as the image. And when we open up our effects down here, you've got all of this. Yeah? You've got a high drive, you've got a squash, which is, of course, a compressor. Yeah? Open that up. It's essentially a compressor. It's to squash the sound, a squash compressor. Says what it does. You've got a high drive in here, so that's an overdrive, just to boost your signal for a guitar. And then you've got a noise gate at the front there, right, to cut out any noise. And then we have the amp designer. And what's cool about the amp designer, if you're recording guitar, you can go straight in here, open it up, and choose a model from all these. Now it's currently set to a guitar amp when you load it up. You can also click over here and change these amps. So you can go in and change these out to whatever you like. You've got reverb, modulation, your cabinet where the microphone goes. So you can go in here also and then decide you've got plugins that you can mess with as well. So you've got all your clean plugins, you've got crunchy plugins, you've got distorted plugins over here. Lots of tones for you to mess with. Awesome. I'm glad we're helping. Hey, DOA, hope you're doing well. All right, so let's jump out of the browser here and jump out of this so we can see what else. We've been given also a channel EQ and a compressor on the end. So that is the effects chain you are given when you choose the guitar amp. Now, once you're in here, once you've got a guitar amp chosen, we can change this at any time. I may not want this amp selected. So let's just delete this, get back to the start and start with a clean palette. So again, hit more. We're going to choose empty audio track and hit create. Okay, now that we've got a track, let's move away from the tracks for a minute and we'll come back to it. You're probably looking at the top of my logic here and going, wow, there's a lot of things up the top here that I don't have, right? And you can turn these on and off. So I went and did this immediately when I loaded up Logic. So we've got a whole bunch of options on our transport here. So this is to go back. So you can go back a section all the way to the start, play, of course, record, your loop. So you can add that. And over here, we've got these ones, and I'm going to show you how to add these as well. We've got able to link here, which I can link to other apps and share like metronomes and keep two apps in sync together. What else do we have here? We've got a tuner, which easy access. You can just touch that. You've got a tuner. Here's your count in. Let's talk about the count in. We'll come back to these. Don't worry, we'll come back. So when I click on this, it turns off. Turn it on. If I hold down, I'm given this option. So here is your count in. You can decide how long you want your count in from here. So you've got a bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars, quarter, 2 quarters, a third. So 4/4. You could do whatever you want there. Plus, we also have our metronome. If I click it, it comes on. There's our metronome. Tappity, 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 tap. But if I hold down on it, I'm given more options. Simple mode. So if I click simple mode and hold down, you're just given only during count in. You can't change anything. But if I uncheck simple mode and now hold down, you've got these options. Only click while recording, only click during count in, click while playing. Yeah, so you've got plenty of choice there for what you would like. I'm just going to keep it on click while recording. I don't need to hear it back when I'm playing at this point. Easy enough to turn it on, off, on, off, on, off. Just click on it. There's your metronome. Okay, so let's go right over to the end to more. Remember, 3 dots is more. Click on here, and we'll talk about settings. So here's where your app settings and your project settings lie. And let's go through the app settings first. Run in background. I always keep this on so I can switch between apps. If I need to go do something, I can have this playing in the background if I have run in background on. So it tells you here, switch on to let Logic Pro run in the background while you use other apps. Regardless of this setting, Logic Pro runs in the background while recording audio. So you could have notes up in another app, yeah, and have this recording if you were singing and have another app open and know it's still recording. Select regions on track selection, select track on region selection. I'm just leaving that as it is. Let's talk about audio. A lot of this stuff you're not even going to mess with, remember, right? So don't get yourself too lost in the fucking weeds of all of this, yeah, because you'll get overwhelmed and you'll get anxious. Keep it simple. Like, ultimately, you got to keep it simple. But I'm just going to show you where stuff is. Auto select audio devices. So with this selected, whatever's plugged in, it's going to auto select that as your interface. Easy. Here you can see your input, output, which is my mini fuse. I don't need to mess with that. Stereo output, mini fuse. Yep. Here's an important one. If you have an older iPad, yeah, which is only there's only 1 or 2 iPads you can use apart from the M1 and 2, I think, whatever it is. You can set this to 256 samples if it's a bit sluggish. I'm going to put it up to 128. So the higher the samples, the less of a buffer, the less you're going to hear that, you're going to be in time. When you play, yeah, you're going to be in time with it, right? So when you're recording, you want to have this as low. You want to have your samples as low as possible. So you're playing and it's registering your notes in time to what you're playing. So what you're hearing back is what is actually being played. It gets a bit different when you're mixing and mastering. If you've got a whole lot of tracks and you finished recording, you're not recording anything else in there, and you're mixing and mastering, you can actually raise the sample up to 512 because it doesn't need to use so less samples, right? Because you're not recording anything in. And you may have a whole bunch of plugins running and they may slow down your iPad. So if that's happening, you can just raise this up to 512. I really hope that in the next update, they do add an update to this and have 1024. So you can go even higher, so 1024 for mixing, because, you know, older iPads will get bogged down with the more AUV3s, extra effects that you have when you're mixing. But always keep it low when you're recording. Yeah, you don't want lag or anything like that. Have you noticed when you do a mixdown in Logic iPad, the performance indicator in the transport goes into overload red no matter what the buffer setting? No, I haven't noticed that. But then don't you have an older iPad? So I've noticed on my 2018 iPad Pro, which is in my other room, when I'm using it and got a lot, and I've opened a project from this iPad, which is a M2, the performance is really sluggish. I have noticed that. I think it's going to depend on how much RAM you have, yeah? Well, if you've got a lot of things going on. It's always been like that with iPad. I mean, I don't even know. I think even the 2018 iPad Pro only has 6 gig of RAM. It's not a lot. So when you've got a lot of things going on, you will get issues. No, you know, and that's why they have. I mean, I was shocked that they actually released Logic on 2018 iPads. I was shocked because my 2018 iPad was already struggling as it was last year when I upgraded. It was struggling. I mean, I'd had it since 2018. Can you drag a stream? I'm pretty sure I've added I'm pretty sure I've answered this question for you, BBS. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I have on every stream that you've asked it. So, no, you can't. So you'll need to drag it into Audio Share, split it apart, use another app to do it. That is just how it is. Yeah, I think it is that because when I open it up, Bo, on my 2018 iPad, it is much slower. It takes even for an empty project, it seems to take a lot longer just to open an empty vocal track. So I definitely noticed a difference. It was a ballsy move for Apple to release it on older iPads. I have to say that because I think this at least needs 8 gig of RAM, and I have 16 on this, and I've had no issues. So, you know, and here's the thing. Here's the problem, Bo. As they do upgrades with this, it's only going to get like more bloated, and there's going to be more things added, and older iPads aren't going to work even more. You know how it works with iOS when they release a new update? It does that. Video file from screen recorder audio. You can't drag. Look, here's the deal. You can't drag a video clip into Logic. You just can't do it. It doesn't work, BBS. I don't know how many times we have to tell you. It doesn't work. You have to split the audio first. You have to split the audio first from the video in something like Audio Share. Or there's other apps that do it as well. Or open it up in, I don't know, you could open up in iMovie and then split the audio. But you just can't directly import a video clip into Logic on iOS. It will not work. 100%. Okay? So we're back here at samples. 128 samples is what I'm going to go with now. I can go with 64 easy. I have the power to do it on the M2. That's a thing. We'll just keep it at 128. It's all good. Let's scroll down to recording. Cycle. Choose how new performances are captured when recording over existing regions. Cycle on, okay? Cycle off. Merge or merge. These are both set to. What does this mean? Merge means if I record over the top of a track, right? Let's just jump out of here. If I have this set here to 4 bars and I record over this, say we record something in, let's hit record. I'm actually not going to, I don't have a mic connected, but if we hit record, it's starting to record a thing. You can see that, right? Now, if we have this set to merge, when I record over that, it will merge the recordings together. Yeah. So if I go back here and hit record, it will record over that. It's gone. It's recording over it. Yeah. But if we go, now it's made a comp, right? So if I can click, because it's merged this, let's go in here and look at our takes and folders. You can see in here, it's made a composite audio 1 and 2, and I can flick between these. See this audio? They've been merged here. So we've got audio 1, audio 2. I can flick between those 2 different takes. Let's go back over here to cycle on, or you can change create a take folder in here with cycle on. Let's delete this. I think I'm doing the right thing. See, I'm not even sure of all this stuff myself. But when we click on here, I think I'm doing the wrong thing here. So we've got audio. See here, these aren't in a folder. They are just audio 1 and 2. So they're not, they haven't been placed. So we've got takes and folders. But when we had it the other way, it actually had them down lower in a little merged folder thingamajig. Let's delete this. So again, a lot of these are things for if you're comping vocals. Go back. Now if we click, you can see now this is being called Comp A and Comp B. And when we go down here, it's exactly the same. What do I do with Comp A and Comp B? So anyway, here's the thing. I'm not even worried about this. I have everything merged in here. So yeah, it is for MIDI. It's for recording. So MIDI's down here. So here's our MIDI in and outs. So you can see we can actually have things connected like external keyboards. I have a keyboard down here. And if I turn this on, you will see it appear now in the mix. See this Audio key step? If I turn it off, it's going to disappear. So whatever you have connected as MIDI will show up. I have another keyboard sitting over here. Under here, that's connected at the moment. If I turn that off, that's this, what is it? You can see here, this code 49. So that's connected at the moment. I've got my Arturia. Whatever I have connected as a MIDI will show up here in the MIDI. We've got MIDI stuff here you can play with as well too. But we're focusing today on audio. So move track automation with regions. Again, so you can see here, decide how existing automation data on track is handled when moving underlying regions. And you can just set this to ask you when it becomes relevant to always do it or never. A lot of these things are set like that. Region color. Choose whether region colors can be colored individually or follow the color of the track. You can go in and choose this. Completely up to you. So we'll pop over to project settings because this is the current project that we've opened, yeah? So we've got a sample rate, which we did earlier. We can change this in here during the project. Recording, count in. We can choose our count in from here as well. We can automatically colorize the takes. Flex time will cover at another Instance synchronization. Sync mode, this is for if you are using Ableton Link. All right, so Ableton Link allows you to share MIDI clocks between two different apps. So currently it's set to the internal clock, but I can choose Ableton Link from here, and you can, if I click this, you'll see it asks, would you like to transmit and receive start and stop data from another app? So if I had another app open and I hit play over there, it would hit play over here in Logic. So I can do those kind of things. Again, all this stuff you're not going to talk about. We don't need to focus on MIDI today. Our metronome, you can actually change the tone of your metronome. Yeah. So you can go in here and change the tone. You can change the divisions, change the note. Yeah. And you can change the volume of it. You can change the output. That's totally up to you if you want to go and do all that. And here is your tuner, where you can change the actual tuning. So currently it's set to 440 Hertz, which is standard these days, but you can go in and change this. So if we add another, 20 cents there, you'll see it's gone up to 445.1. So you can do all of that stuff too. Where in GarageBand you couldn't do anything like that. Let's go back to 0. Boom. So we're at 440. Done. Thank you. We'll come back over here. And you've got her mode tuning as well, equally tempered. So plenty of options. Anyway, that's your settings. Again, you're not really going to need to deal with a lot of this stuff because you just want to record guitars in here and keep it simple. That's what this is about. Here's the toolbar. So here's where I have decided what is along here. And our transport, you may notice when you go up here, and we found this over on the More customized control bar. So your transport, I think when I first loaded it up, it didn't have forward, capture recording wasn't on. And yeah, so you can add these if you want. If you don't want them, you can do that as well. Display. So this covers our section, our display now up the top. You can decide to have beats or time. Yeah. Or you can have beats and time, which is what I have. So I think that's the way to go, beats and time. You can have the time signature. Yeah. So you can see the time signature when we turn this off, it disappears. You can have MIDI turned on and off. So it'll tell you up here if you have MIDI playing, connecting, coming through. And you have CPU memory, which pops up here. I recommend you have it on so you can see why, if something's choking, like Bo mentioned earlier before, his CPU is shitting itself because it's got so much going on. There's your indication if you're having problems. If that's happening, the first thing I'll always do is shut down the project. Hit the project, close, swipe it away. Go in and swipe up from the bottom of your iPad and go and swipe anything else that's in the background. Make sure everything else is gone. Because sometimes we forget that we leave shit running in the background, and that can definitely have an effect with iPads. Yeah. So we'll go back over here. The last section is modes. And here's where we can add our sync, replace, which we won't cover today, low latency monitoring. So we've got low latency monitoring. We can add the tuner, the count in, the click. You can remove all these things. And right down the bottom, we have the help. You can turn off the little help thing that's up here if you like. But the help button actually only takes you to your lessons and to the huge 1,000-page PDF, which is so much fun to read. Hello, Mr. Smith. I hope you are doing well. Boom. All right, so that's basically how you get these up here, how you set up your toolbar and your transport, and we're all good to go. The simple stuff, let's talk about this. Because these little dots are everywhere, remember? And they all mean more. Over here, we've got more. Over here, we've got more. We've got more. We've got more. We've got mores everywhere. Over here, we have our show output track. When we click on that, it gives us our stereo out track. Yeah. So when we click on the mixer, this is our stereo out track. This is the master mix. This is, when I move this, see this? That's our out. There we go. So we've got a master track here as well. This controls everything. This is everything up and down. So you can go in here and add that stereo track to your view here. Or you can go in and turn it off. It's up to you if you want to have that there. Also in here is customize your track header. So this gives you stuff like turn track on off. Let's put that on. And it gives you an on off switch. So now you can turn that track off. So if we, let's just throw in some audio in here. We'll chuck a loop in here to give some sound. We'll just throw some drums in. Da-da. And you can see when I hit this on and off, it goes muted. It's virtually a mute button, yeah? Same thing happens. It's up to you if you want to use that or you don't want to use that. Let's get rid of the on-off track. And see that? What happened? When I removed the on-off track, it left the mute track muted. It replaced it with the mute track. Same difference. Do you need to do it? I don't think so. Yeah, all good. So in here, we also have the solo button. If you don't want the ugly, you think the S button's ugly, get rid of it. But, you know, you want to keep it open. The freeze button. So you can decide to have this on if you like. Freezing is when you have a track that has a whole lot of things going on in it. And what happens is when you hit freeze, it will freeze the track and it will free up space for you to, it basically takes all the plugins that you have and it creates in the background of the software like a memory of the track with all the plugins, and it makes like a recording of them. So every time you hit play, it's playing that instead of using all of the plugins. That's what freezing does. It pretty much freezes what was in the track, frees up some memory. So get the freeze and freeze up memory. So it's not like frozen as such. It's freeing up memory so you can play your track when you're getting down to mixing and things like that. Because if you've got a whole project with 50 tracks and all of them have heaps of effects, you're going to get bogged down. So freezing tracks, as I said, it makes a quick recording of the track in the background with all of the effects. So when you hit play, it renders the sucker. That's the word I'm looking at. It frees up memory, man. You know, it's a handy little thing to have. You can turn it on and off. It's up to you if you want it on and off. It's always here in this little more section. Input monitoring. Yes, please. Now we know we're monitoring our input with the little I for input monitoring. Track colors. I love track colors. They make me feel good inside. They make me feel warm and fuzzy. Yeah. So I normally put on my track colors. So track colors on. Show volume. I like the show volume thing gone. I've always found, let me just be honest here, and it's personal taste. These things are personal taste, yeah? Right. I've always found in GarageBand, remember, when you're using GarageBand on iOS, this is all we had for volume, these little things. We'd have all these vocal tracks. Let's just duplicate a few here. And this is how we used to mix with this tiny little slider. Didn't give us any indication of how many dB it was going down. But the difference is now in Logic, we have a mixer. So I find these little volume things quite offensive, to be honest. And I'm not going to shit you. I like them off. There's more room for important things like, my freeze button, my input monitoring. I'm never going to use these. And instead, what gets replaced when you turn those off is these, you can see if I zoom in, they're like these little lights here. Yeah. So if I hit play, see that little light there? That lets you know it's colored. It lets you know. It'll go red if it's peaking. It's green if it's okay. It'll let you know. I just find it nice to get rid of those volume sliders. I think they're a pain in the ass. And you can do what you like with them. I think it makes it a lot cleaner as well. And you can see with our colors down here, we're already nice and colored. So we've got 3 audio tracks, that's cool too. So there's our, that was our 2 sections in there. Also, now let's go back to adding effects in here. Let me bring this back. Okay, let's go back to a vocal chain. Adding a vocal chain. How do I change all the colors of the tracks? All right, let's focus on that. You've asked the question, Brad. There are 2 ways you can do it. I'm going to tell you the way I prefer because I find it a lot easier. The first is you can open the little eye down the bottom. This is the inspector. Hello, Pete Johns. Fantastic video today Pete Johns did on mastering in Logic. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. You did a great job, Pete. I thought you were fantastic. You did really well. Screw that arsehole who left that comment, man. Anyway. All right, so let's talk about changing colors. Right, so this is the inspector. Now, in the inspector, whatever track you have selected here, this is the little I for inspector, or if you're using a keyboard, like I am here, if you hit I opens it up like that. Yes, keyboard shortcuts are your friend, let me tell you that. So open up the I, and you've got, for each track, you've got 2 sections, right? You're watching, Brad? So you can see here, we've got our track selected, and we've got general, quantize, fade, details, but that's not what we want. Up the top is where you choose between the 2 sections, and you have track and region. You need to go to track, and there you can see, there's your color option. Okay, so we can go in here now. We can change the name of this drum if we want from in here, and just call it dumb drums, whatever. Hit enter. We can choose our color from here. Now what's cool about the colors too is each color has its own shade. So if we go over here, you can see we can go all these different shades down the bottom. Yeah. So you've got it, it's not just these colors. You've got heaps of different options within the colors, which is really cool, I think. There you go. So we'll choose that for this one. And this is where you choose your icon as well. So this is going to be drums. So here where your icon is, you click on this. You've got sound effects, wind, strings, keyboards, guitar, bass, percussion, and drums. We're going to choose drums. And you've got 2 different sets of icons. You've got these like stenciled icons, and you've got your, fancy pants one. So we'll choose a fancy pants one. Done. Freeze mode, we're not going to cover this because, we're not freezing. We won't cover flex or anything. We'll do this at a later stage, of course. But there's your color. But watch what happens when I click the next track. Oh, wow. It stayed there. I'm not used to that. I thought it actually changed. I thought it went back to like the region. That's so odd. But yeah, there you go. You can just click through them. I see how I went up here and it went back to the region. I find it incredibly irritating. So how I do it, let's show you how I do it. I open up the mixer and I go from the bottom. I load up the inspector and I click through them like this. See how when I click through them all, they all stay on that screen. So I prefer to do it this way. And just click through, choose your color, bang. Whatever. Click the next one, choose your color, bang, next one. So I like to do it this way. Hello, Kim. Hope you're doing good. Good to see you, Kimmy. And again, click through. So you can just click on these bottom colors, Brad. Nice and easy to do them all at once. I'm not sure. Can you multi-select? Let's check that out. I guess if you've got, no, I don't think you can. Can you do a multi-select? We'll throw in, let's do a copy of this. Let's do this. Drag. Can I multi-select tracks and do a multi-color select? I don't think you can. No, see, it's only got one of them selected. Yeah. So I can't, oh, hang on, you probably can. Let's do a multi-select up here. So track, track, track. So I've selected, so let's talk about these buttons here. So this is your multi-select, Brad, yeah? This one. So when you select this, you can select multiple tracks. See, it's off at the moment, and every time I click between tracks, it's highlighting. But if I click this, now I can select multiple tracks. Can I change the colors at once? I don't think it's going to let me. No. So there you go. You can't change the colors all at once. Question answered that you probably didn't even want answered. I don't think it'll work with grouping either. Even if I go in here and we can try. Grouping's getting a bit advanced because I am trying to do this as a beginner's kind of thing. All right. We'll come back to it, yeah. So that's how you change colors. I hope that answered that, Brad. I'm just going to delete these. Delete. So we'll start again. And we've got a new audio track. Boom. All right. What else do we want to cover up here? Let's head over this side for a second because we've got more over here as well. And this is our cycle selection. Cut cycle selection, copy cycle selection, insert silence with cycle, catch playhead, repeat cycle selection. Let's bring in again, let's bring in some drums in here. Now, did you see that? We hit cut cycle selection. I'm going to undo that. So here's our cycle. This is our cycle here. Whatever is selected in our cycle is judged by this thing here. So if I go up here and hit repeat cycle selection, did you see what happened, Brad? It created a brand new version of this. Now I've got this selected, and I'm going to say cut cycle selection. And I got rid of it. So whatever's selected in this cycle here, we've got these options. Copy cycle selection. So now, whatever was selected within this cycle, I can go over here and hit paste, Control V. Did it work? No, it didn't work. Can I paste here? And paste, selection at playhead, because I've copied it, yeah? So we can hit paste, and it didn't do it. There you go. But it's supposed to. Place selection at blah, blah, blah. Insert section at playhead. So you can do all of your copy section of live loops. So this is what you've got here with your cycle selection. This is your cycle, on, off. Yoink, 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 yoink. And you can drag your cycle, make it larger, smaller. Okay, here's another thing we've got to talk about too. When you open a project, right? Look how long this project is. It's long. It's a big... If I export this now, and I just say this song only went for... Let's do this. Spread this out. This song only went for 49 bars, yeah? And I drag this. Yoink. Let's do a loop. Oops. I went a bit crazy there. Let's delete that. Let's drag in one of these again, this drum beat. And we'll loop this. So I drag this out, loop it all out to here. And this is all I want the song to go for. That's all. And if we click at the end of the song, you can see here, we've got our bars, tells us our bars, how long the song goes for, all of that, 125 beats per minute, 1 minute 32, and we've got our bars 49, yeah? So that's all good there. Let me catch up. I've been putting off trying this stuff because it seems so overwhelming. It's making me feel more confident. You know, Michael, the key is to just dive in and screw up. Just, you know what? They say this. I'm a professional singer. I've been teaching singing my whole life, singing in bands my whole life. And one thing we tell people when you're singing is sing like nobody is watching, right? Just sing. It's the same thing as when you're messing around with this, because nobody's fucking watching you, right? Make mistakes. The key is you'll get better by making the mistakes, because you'll go, well, that was stupid. Start again. Like that is the way you learn, you know? And people sit here and say to me all the time, how do you learn so many apps each week? Because I sit here and make a total dick of myself, screwing up, trying to read the manual, making absolute shit breakfasts of everything. Don't be afraid of it. The biggest problem people have with new doors and things like this is they're afraid. Oh, what if I can't? You can, yeah? You can do it. If you've come from GarageBand 2, you're in a really good place because, you know, a lot of the time you're not going to need a lot of the extra fancy bells and whistles, but as you get more confident, you're going to find these things and go, hey, wow, I didn't realize that was there. That can really help me. As long as you know, don't be afraid to use GarageBand still and start a project over there and then open it over here in Logic. I think it was the vocal chain. I did a show on it where showing you how to open up a vocal chain in GarageBand, create it in there where you're familiar, save it, and then open up the project over here and you'll start to see what's going, at least you've made a start in somewhere familiar. So don't be afraid to use GarageBand as well. I knew you'd love that, Kim. Shit breakfast. Delicious stuff. All right, so getting back to here, we've got this 49 bar track, 1:32, and if I mix this now, right? If I went over here and went export, my song's done. I'm so proud of myself. Let's rock this shit, yeah? Entire length of the project. Let's go. I'm so cool, yeah, man. Normalize off, include master effects, yeah, include the tail. Let's rock and roll. I'm all happy. And we hit share and we do it. It's, you'll see this. Export. What's all this crap at the end here? Why is there so much shit at the end? Just like in GarageBand, Apple haven't made it easy with Logic as well. They've put, go back over here. They've put this tiny little arrow up the top, which dictates the length of the track. So you can grab this and you should be able to just grab it and slide it to the end of your track. If you want to go a couple of extra bars, you can do that. And look at that. It brings it all into perspective, how long the song actually is. So now if we do a quick master, a mix, not a master, or our entire project, boom, share. Oh, that's better. That's better. You know, you can even bring that in tighter if you want. There's your project. I know it's the #1 top charting drum beat. Boom. Let's go back over to Logic. So that's one of the hidden things which I think is really annoying that heaps of people are having trouble finding. Stupid, I know. All right. We can turn this off. Let's bring this drum beat, reel it in a little bit. Back, 9. Let's talk about these suckers up the top. Yeah? This is our trim. So whatever we place here, we can trim this. We can trim. We can trim. We can go trim, edit. We can move down to a trim, split. We can trim to end to next region. We can do all this kind of trimming here with this selected. So pretty much this is just your normal tool. If we hold down on it, we're going to get options. If we click on this, we're just going to get options on here. Yeah, there we go. So all these options. This is our loop. As soon as you select this, you can drag this out as long as you want. Yeah, that's your loop selection. There we go. You have your scissors. When you select scissors, it will put a marker there and you can move this marker wherever you like. And then once it's in place, you just pull down and it's sliced. Alternatively, you don't need to use that marker. You can sit here on your little trim section, click, put your marker where you want, like so, click and hit split, and it'll just split it like that. Yeah. Good stuff. We'll leave that there. Let's undo it, bring it back. We also have here a stretch. I love stretch. Let's stretch. This is something you couldn't do in GarageBand. Let's stretch this right out. So now we have it sounds like absolute toilet, but not what we're going to cover in depth today. But I mean, you now have the ability to stretch here in Logic compared to GarageBand. We can go back and look at that. It maintains that quality. It just straight away back and we're all good. You can stretch it out crazy lengths. So it's even longer than the song. I mean, how wicked's that? It's so worth so worth the $5 a month just to do that and amuse yourself for hours. And let's see, can we bring it back? Let's bring it back. And the quality's still there. So non-destructive, ability to stretch stuff is wicked. Let's go back to our trim. I normally keep it on trim for doing any of my moving around, dragging stuff around. Let's talk about these suckers. This is so much fun. This is your multi-select. So again, if you have, let's just add some other tracks here. And in here, we'll throw in some things. Let's throw in this over here. Throw in this over here. So this is your multi-select. So you can select multiple pieces, multiple parts of clips. If this is selected, you can even, if we deselect this, you can select multiple tracks all at once. So if I wanted to now mass delete these tracks, I would click off and I can delete all of these in one go. Let's just delete 2 of them. So let's go click, click. So these 2 are now selected. Click off, so we're not selecting anymore. Click here, delete, and you can delete 2 tracks at once, multiple tracks at once. Plus, this can also be done down here with your mixer. So be aware of that too. If we bring up our mixer, you have these same buttons here as well. So we can click on these, click, 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 and you can see they're highlighted here. And you would click off, click one of these, and you can reset all these together, switch off all effect plugins across all multiple tracks. So you've got a lot of things you can do. Just delete all 3 of them. And that can be found in here with your multi-select. Let's and to get off, you just click on any of these down below. Okay, the last one is the most funnest. This is your, it's like a instant copy paste, this one here. Yeah. So you can see it's got the copy, so a copy of a copy picture. And when you click on it, you can grab a file and move it wherever you want and keep the original in its place. So it's kind of like a looping button, but you can just drag whatever you want anywhere you desire. So if you've got like a whole section, you can just drag that. And as long as this is selected, it's going to keep making a copy, making a copy, making a copy, making a copy. And with each one of them, it numbers it. So you can see all these. You can see this last number here. If I zoom in, you can see there's a 3 there, and we've got a 6 here. That last number on the end, 10, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it adds an extra number to each of them each time you do one of these little copy tricks. Pretty good stuff. All right. Shall we do a multi-select? Now, if you want to multi-select just using your finger or your mouse, you can do that too. You can just drag. See that? You can drag, hold down. I'll do it with my finger. Drag, just like you can in GarageBand, and multi-select that way. And then hit delete. Done. Let's go back, because many of you may not have a keyboard. So as these are selected, once they're selected, you just click on any one, and then you can copy, you can edit, you can select all. You've got all these options here: cycle, folders and takes, move, trim, split, bounce and join. Let's do some bouncing and stuff while we're here. If I select all these across here, I've got them all selected. I can now click on any one of them and we can do a bounce and join. We can bounce in place. Can we join them? Let's see what happens. Non-contiguous, is that what it is? Contagious audio, is that what it is? Regions require a creation of a new audio file, right? So it's telling us if you want to join these, it's going to create a new audio file. Let's do it. Douche. Look how easy that is. Keeps it all in the same place. Ready to go. Let's undo that, can we? What else can we do with these? We can go down here. We can bounce and join. We can bounce it into place. And what it will do is create a brand new track. And you get all these options before you do it. You can mute the source. You can create a new track or a selected track. So you can have a track chosen. Contiguous. Thank you, Kim. You can mute the source, right? So you can do all this. You can include the effects, include the audio tail, include the tail in region, include the volume and pan automation. So if you've got automation here, we're not going to get into automation stuff yet because I'm going to shut this down soon. We'll continue this on another show. You can turn on auto normalization if you want. Leave it off. Leave it off. All right. And if you bounce this, it creates this new track called like a bip. And you can change this if you want. You can go and change this and rename it before you do it. So you can just call it like new drums and then hit bounce. And look at that. It created a whole new track, but it kept these up here for you. And now these are muted. All right. So these are now muted, but it's created this. So if you ever wanted to go back, you have these that are still here. Yeah. And so how do we use those again? I don't even know. See, I don't know everything. It's like a freeze, is it? It seems like that. Can I delete this now and keep the other track? Yes. See, there you go. So there are ways to do bouncing into place. Another good thing, if you want to select everything in the track, just select the track. And you see how these are all selected? All these are selected now. That's a quick way, instead of like, drawing in and going, I want to select all these right here. You just click on the track and everything will be selected in that track. Okay, the last thing we'll cover in here for today is saving an audio chain. We did it in a video on vocal chains last week. So let's create a quick chain in here. So we will delete these two tracks. Let's multi-select. Okay, so both of these are selected. I'm going to click on this one. And now we've deleted both of these tracks. So we've got this one track in here to play with. Let's hit play and listen to it. Okay, so down the bottom here is where we can find our effects chain for each track. Now we've got nothing in here. Let's just quickly add, we'll add a compressor. So we've got some dynamics, we'll add a compressor, and we'll add in an EQ. Just to keep it fancy pants, there we go. We'll choose a studio compressor. We'll go in and we'll roll off the low end here with this. We'll do that, and we'll do this. There we go. So you can hear the difference. Not much. Anyway, Why I'm showing you this, here's our effects chain here that we've created. I might want to use this effects chain for all my drums. I love this effects chain. I spent hours on this effects chain. Really, I haven't, because you've just seen I haven't. But I want to use this for all my effects. Every time I load up drums, this is the sound for my album that I'm going to use for every drum track, because, you know, it's good to have consistent drum tracks across your album. If you've done drums in each of your songs and you want to keep this chain of effects, all you need to do is click on the track that has the chain in it, and you'll see here, wherever it is, Save Patch. And you can name this patch. So we'll just call this the best drum patch ever, which it's clearly not. And hit OK. And now, anytime I open a new project, anytime, I'll prove it to you in a moment. Let's kill this down here. If you open your browser to the side here, and you'll see down here we've got My Audio Patches. And in here, look, the best drum patch ever. There it is. If I create a new drum, let's just create a brand new drum track. I'm going to use the auto drummer. There's our drummer. We'll mute this. I want to use the best drum patch ever. So what do? I grab this drum patch, drag. I can't do it for MIDI. I should have used a loop. Let's. I didn't think of that. Let's use a loop. So we'll use a drum loop. There we go. We'll grab a. Let's go over here. Loops, drums. Yeah. We'll grab this arcade drum beat. Now I want to add my best drum kit patch ever. So we go over here to audio patches, grab my best patch ever, drag it on top, and look down here. There's my best drum patch ever. Now I can do this with guitars. You can see over here I've got a lead vocals saved here. We create a new track, and I want to add my lead vocal patch. And there they are. Compressor, channel EQ, platinum reverb. I want to add a cool guitar patch. Let's add a new audio. I've got this DC heavy guitar left. I can drag this on. And look, there's my noise gate, compressor, channel EQ, and then Brini's thing with my chosen patch already in here, my death patch. Now I want the right hand side. Let's create a new audio channel. And here's my right hand one. And we're using Rhino in this one. So you can see we've got two different guitar tones, EQ, compressor, flick between them. So that is the way you save your patches and bring them into your tracks. It's a really good idea to get into the habit of creating a patch, especially if you're recording an album. Understand, I really like that guitar sound. I'm going to use that for the whole album, so I've got consistency. Save your patch. All you need to do is click on the track, and you've got Save Patch. From here too, you can show patches, and it will open up patches as well, audio patches that you can choose from. We'll cover that in a later one. So today, that's all I really wanted to cover, keeping it nice and simple. And maybe in the next couple of days, we'll continue on with this. So, yeah, let me know if you'd like me to continue on with this, keeping it nice and simple and clean and basic. And we'll get through audio tracks. Next time we'll record some vocals. We'll record some guitar. We will record some bass. And we'll talk about mixing and stuff. And then eventually we'll move on to MIDI. Yeah? Nice and simple. Simple. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Man, I got this new mouse. I've got to keep clicking it on. Thank you very much, DOA and Martin Hudson. My pleasure, Michael. Anytime, Brad, you feeling good? You feeling a little bit more comfortable, Brad? Yeah, because, Brad's my close friend. He's moved over to Logic, and, man, he's getting a little bit anxious, yeah? I know a lot of people are with it. Even I am, because I don't know everything yet. I'm still learning. I've got all these projects I'm trying to finish. In fact, let's go out with one of my tracks from my album, which is in here, and you'll see. What do we choose today? What What shall we choose from my album? We'll go with what color, because it's not too long. But you'll see here with my project we've got going on is what we talked about, color coding. So we've got all our color coding down the side here. All my sections are all got the right pictures to match the name. When we open up down here and look at our mixer, all the colors are sorted. Everything's kind of in order. You can tell what effects are turned on in my effects change because they're lit up. We've got some buses here with some effects. We'll cover buses in I've already talked about buses on some of these late night logics. This is number 7. You can go back and watch the other ones. But yeah, let's play this. So this is a pretty short, simple song. As you can see in here, we've got drums. So I've got these in a summing stack, which you can take your individual drum parts and then put them into a folder here. So they're nice and neat. We've got a bass. We've got a couple of acoustics. We've got a piano, a sum. So in this piano, there's 4 piano tracks in a folder. We've got strings. We've got 3 orchestral tracks, a brass track, and a choir. Let me play this out. Do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better, and we'll all rise together. Before I do go, the last thing I will say quickly, come and join me tomorrow because... Okay, if I can get my shit together. No, that's not right. That's the wrong button. This is happening again. My 100th episode, singing live for you tomorrow. And I'm playing 5 new DreadCircus songs for you live on guitar. Nobody's ever heard them. Maybe Brad. But that is happening tomorrow. All right, let's get out of here and play this track out for you. This is What Color? Boom. I'll give you some vocals as well if you want. What color am I? Some shade of brown, some hue of tan, perhaps the soft shades of sandy beaches or the deep richness of fertile
'cause you make me shine better, and we'll all rise together.